The haunted house is a staple of the horror genre, and for many, including fans like myself, it's probably one of our most favorite subgenres in the whole scheme of things. And I mean, there's nothing like walking into a large home that just looks, period, like 18th century or 19th century, and just feeling the gravitas of the place, knowing things, people, events happened in these hallways. And haunted house films are just a lot of fun to watch. And when they're done fantastic. They're very effective and incredibly memorable. And of course, when they don't, they're pretty forgettable and just cannon fodder to be made fun of. Present day, or in recent times, probably the last 15 years, probably the best examples of haunted house films were the Others with Nicole Kidman, The Orphanage, a recent film, The House at the End of Time, which I highly recommend. They're great haunted house films. But growing up as a kid, the haunted house films that I remember were things like the Amityville Horror Trilogy, which I'm afraid to say does not hold up well at all. But as a little kid, they were quite scary, but no, not so much. But there were ones that actually still stand the test of time. Films like Robert Wise's The Haunting, the original Haunting, not the remake. Legend of Hell House, always memorable, with Roddy McDowall. And one in particular that came out in 1980 that really was pretty damn scary for a kid who was maybe 9 or 10 years old when he saw it, and still pretty damn effective now, 35 years later. I'm talking about Peter Medak's The Changeling. Came out in 1980. It's a pretty effective, creepy, atmospheric, scary, well-acted, well-written, and engaging haunted house mystery thriller. It is just such a damn good, scary movie. And for a small film that's not relying on vast special effects, gore, or anything like that, it really gets it down to the basics and really unnerves you in a lot of scenes. And there are a lot of scenes that I remember seeing it as a kid that I see nowadays. It, like I said, is still pretty effective. The Changeling, as I mentioned, came out in 1980 and stars George C. Scott, who's fantastic, Melvin Douglas, Trish Vanderveer, and John Colicos, who, for me, was best known as Baltar from the original Battlestar Galactica. This was like a staple for HBO for me. I never got to see this in the theater until the last maybe 10 years or so when I saw it out here in L.A. With a Peter Medak introduction, which was fantastic. The film is about a man who has a tragedy befall him early in the film, and now on his own he moves into this huge Gothic Victorian mansion, and strange as you would expect for a house this size, houses make noise. Hell, even apartments make noise. So yeah, you never know what you're hearing. It's like, okay, like I'm on the top floor, why am I hearing footsteps across my ceiling at 10 o'clock at night? I don't know. But, yeah, houses make noise and other things. But since he's living in this place by himself, and he's a professor at a university, and he's living there by himself, and he's a musician, by the way, and composer. And he starts hearing things. And so as anyone would probably want to go investigate. And so he investigates, and as he investigates further, he starts suspecting that there's something going on in this house, that this house may be haunted. And that's what unfolds for the rest of the film, and that's all I'll say. There are some fascinating surprises. It's got, as I mentioned, it's got a mystery that's very engaging, very, very interesting, and really pays off quite well when it's all wrapped up in the end. The Changeling is 35 years old, and as I mentioned, doesn't rely on the cheap gimmicks, gore, cheap scares. It earns its scares, and when it scares, it curdles your skin. You can feel the hairs on the back of your neck, and you feel the chills. So this is a truly effective gothic haunted house movie that I highly recommend. I would give The Changeling a 8.5 out of 10, maybe even a 9. I mean, looking at it, I mean, just compare it to recent horror films. As a jaded horror film fan who misses the days when horror films were actually good and scary, movies like this are just like a breath of fresh air, and it's like discovering a diamond in the rough, or the needle in the haystack. This proves to be, it's just got great acting, great cinematography, a fantastic score, and great writing, and it has a lot of scares. I don't recommend watching this by yourself. If you're brave enough, then do so. I just remember watching it on TV back in the little 4x3 15-inch TV, and being scared by it. And now, having seen it on the big screen and now on our widescreen monitors, it's still just as effective. So, again, I give The Changeling at least an 8.5 out of 10. It will scare you, and it's definitely worth seeing. So, if you like my my Throwback Thursday review, please hit the like button below. Have you seen The Changeling? Have you ever heard of The Changeling? What do you think? Please share your comments below. What scene scared you the most? And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do, so you can stay on top of my reviews as they come in. So until next time, beware of things that go bump.